Welcome everybody, I'm IAmAMusicNerd here, and we're here to talk about one of the most famous metal bands of all time, Metallica. But as always, if you enjoy the content in this channel, you want to show your support, please hit the like button down below or the subscribe button down below. Actually, do both. And if you're a return subscriber, hit the notification bell to be alerted for new content. First album, Kill 'Em All, which came out in 1983, kind of showing them in their more punkish phase. Obviously, the production is, I'm not going to say basic, but definitely showed Metallica after Raw's, and they definitely wore their influences on their sleeves. You can definitely tell that Motorhead and Judas Priest were huge influences on the band. And Metallica has some songs here that are, will go on to be concert favorites, such as Seek and Destroy, Whiplash, Jump Into the Fire. All Metallica tracks that I very much enjoy. There's also some deep cuts here like Metal Militia. But once again, I think Kill 'Em All is a solid debut for Metallica. And, Cliff Burton and his bass playing is a very iconic part of early Metallica, and the dynamic between the four guys is what really made these early Metallica albums very special, especially when it came to playing on longer, like 5-7 minute tracks. But really, Metallica, straight to the point with Kill 'Em All, an album that I very much enjoy. So I'm gonna put it in the B tier. The next album, which came out a year later, Ride the Lightning, is already just many steps ahead of Kill 'Em All, even though it was released just a year later. And this is more of like them delving into progressive metal, and obviously, like I said, longer songs and more guitar solos. And I think it's very underrated album in their discography. If you're a Metallica fan, you can do nothing but praise this album and what it did for metal at the time. Metallica was showing that they were a step above their contemporaries. Songs like For Whom the Bell Tolls, the beginning of that song always gets me hyped. But then sad songs like Fade to Black and Call of Cthulhu showed Metallica going into ballads, really tackling introspective material, stuff that they would talk about in their later work. But Metallica really showing their range here, showing that they can really do it all. One of my favorite Metallica albums, anybody who's looking to get into Metallica and see like, oh, this is why they were a legendary band, this is the album. Albums like this are why they are as legendary as they are in the metal world. So Ride the Lightning, I'm going to put it in the A tier. Talk about avoiding the sophomore slump, right? And then they go on to make Master of Puppets 2 years later, the album that everybody talks about with Metallica, their most famous album. I think it's a masterpiece. I'll say what everybody else is saying, that there really is no bad songs here from beginning to end. When it starts with Battery to the last song, it really, just take your pick here. Damage Inc., Battery, Master of Puppets, the title track. Unfortunately, this will be the last album to feature Cliff Burton, as he died in a tragic accident months later. It's interesting to see what Metallica would have became if Cliff Burton had survived. Will we even get the Metallica that we gotten today? Would Metallica had made a stronger discography down the road? Would they even made the Black Album? We don't even know. Cliff Burton, such a great talent, one of the best bassists in rock metal history. So sad that he got away for so soon, but at least we have albums like Master of Puppets to demonstrate why he was such a great essential part of the group. Yeah, really, Master of Puppets, it was the album that kind of brought metal into the mainstream. Was the first platinum selling metal album, which at the time, well, the first platinum selling thrash metal album, which at the time, which was surprised a lot of people. People didn't think that thrash metal could be make money, or B, allow bands to play arenas, and that's exactly what Metallica accomplished. So Master of Puppets, for what it did and its impact in the music itself, have to put it in the S tier. Absolutely classic album. And Justice for All, which came out in 1988, their last album of the 80s, their first to feature Jason Newsted, the new bassist, And it's been talked to death about how low the bass playing is. Apparently, they did it as a joke, to kind of prank new guy Jason Newsted, which I don't understand why you would do that. You're basically letting your art suffer just to be assholes. Unfortunately, that would be a trend that Metallica will go on to do in later albums. But I think what kind of hurts this album's status a little bit is that, with the first three albums, there was diversity in content and production. And just for all, it kind of felt samey. It sounds a little samey. It sounds like you're listening to one long song. And don't get me wrong, there's some hidden gems here. I like the song Blackened. I like, of course, One is probably my favorite Metallica single, with that incredible guitar solo, and the middle of the song, which sounds like a machine gun almost, with the way the guitar is playing, like like that gives me goosebumps every time. And the lyrics and the music videos is iconic for Metallica. This was really the song that broke Metallica into rock metal superstars, and that momentum will propel for the next album. Then there's songs here that are just go on for way too long for no reason, no purpose. And Metallica themselves admitted that it was hard to play these songs in concerts because the fans would get bored. I'm not gonna say that I'm bored of the songs, but I did wish that they kind of switched it up a little bit. So for whatever reason, it's not as good as the first three albums, and I'm gonna have to put it in the C tier. It's a pretty average Metallica album for me. The next album, the Black Album, obviously, it basically established Metallica as the preeminent metal band. It allowed them to play alongside Guns N' Roses, which at the time in 1991 was just, nobody could even fathom that a thrash metal band could play in a stadium with Guns N' Roses. This album is definitely controversial. If you're a Metallica fan, you either love it or you hate it, because of the reception. And Justice for All began to kind of streamline their sound. They looked for a new producer. I'm not gonna say their songs started to be more poppy, but they were definitely going for more 3-minute, 4-minute songs. It worked. Metallica wasn't concerned no longer with being the fastest metal band, because with thrash metal you have to have speed, you have to have intensity. No, they started to slow themselves down and to sound louder, to sound bigger, and the drums to sound massive here. And the production work by Bob Rock definitely made Metallica into a more confident band that could tackle such introspective content, because the album is quite dark. The album cover is not just black, for no reason. Like the album itself and the song lyrics, they're very dark, they're very bleak. One song in particular, The God That Failed, talks about James Hetfield's mother dying with cancer and how she foregone traditional medicine to stay true to beliefs and ended up killing her. And so James Hetfield's questioning his belief in religion. It's a very underrated song. But yeah, Enter Sandman, I'll say this about Enter Sandman, even though it's been played to death, for some reason I don't get tired of hearing it. It's like Welcome to the Jungle. It's like, yeah, I've heard it a million times, but you know what? It's a classic for a reason. It's one of the most iconic metal songs of all time. I think the bass here is amazing, kind of like auto-correcting what they did in the last album and letting Jason Newsted to come to the forefront. Metallica sounds like a real band here, and that's what was missing from their last album. The Unforgiven, Nothing Else Matters, Sad But True. Your favorite songs are my favorite songs. Yeah, just an amazing album. Front to back. Gonna put it in the S tier. Alright, this is where we start to get into like shaky territory here. They didn't release another album until 5 years later with Load. And yeah, it's Metallica kind of going from heavy metal to southern rock and blues and country. Yeah, they even do some country songs here. Metallica and controversy go together like bread and butter. Metal fans, are very protective of their music, and when Metallica started to cut their hair and started to make more commercial pop songs that would play alongside Nirvana and Beck. Metallica fans are like, well, what the hell is going on here? Like, now you're going way too off the handle. Like, the Black Album was fine, because at least it still sounded like Metallica, but this is way different than what we're expecting. And I can't blame them. I mean, Metallica here, I don't mind changing your sound. I don't mind switching up, but I think they went a little too off the mark here because they kind of sound awkward with some of these songs. Till It Sleeps, it's a decent song, and King Nothing, a great Metallica song that we played in concerts, but songs like Ronnie, yeah, I don't know what they're going for there. And you can definitely tell that this band was listening to a lot of Alice in Chains and Soundgarden and Smashing Pumpkins, because literally you can just call out songs here. And I was like, wow, Alice in Chains could have made this record. Listen, I'm not trying to say that they're trying to copy or imitate them, but I'm just saying that Metallica was trying to fit in with those bands, and the album sold well, but I think it ended up sounding dated in the process. And that's another thing. The album is way too damn long. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So with Load, there's some good songs here. There's some bad songs here. Gonna put it in the C tier. And then with Reload, the next year, I mean, basically the same thing. There's songs I like. There's some songs I don't like. Fuel is, give me fuel, give me fire, give me what you want to desire. Great hook. Always loved that song. But I've never been too keen on The Memory Remains. Then with Marianne Faithfull, her just kind of croaking over the song. That song never really got to me, but that's another one of their songs that's become very popular. A lot of this music just sounds like it should be played in a grown strip club. It's and when I think of this album, I just think of like strip club music, and not the good kind where you have like 60-year-old bikers. Reload, I'm gonna put in the C tier. Oh boy. And then we go to New Millennium, and then we talk about Saint Anger. Just 3 words come to mind when I think about Saint Anger, and it's Lars Ulrich's drums. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Look, I can go an hour about, why the drumming is bad, but everybody else it's like talking about Phantom Menace. It's everybody just talks about it. It's well known, the complaints with this album. Yeah, the drums sound like shit. I mean, what else can there be said about it that hasn't already been said? But, no guitar solos by Kirk Hammett. I mean, it's literally telling Michael Jordan that he can't dunk. It's telling Vince Carter that he can't dunk. It's telling Brett Favre he can't throw a Hail Mary. Like, why would you tell Kirk Hammett, one of the most talented guitarists in the history of metal, not to play guitar solos? Just boggles my mind. And once again, Metallica switching up their sound, trying to do something different, trying to get in with the new metal crowd, which they didn't need to do. Metallica didn't need to try to sound like Stain. I wanted Metallica to sound like classic Metallica. Once again, I just think they just went too far off the mark, and a lot of longtime Metallica fans are like, you guys gotta come back. Like, what you gotta knock it off with this nonsense. The lyrics, I can't, listen, James Hetfield trying to be confessional and direct and to the point, kind of throwing it back to like Kill 'Em All, like that punkish attitude, like that straight direct to the point. I don't mind it, but it's just, the songs are just way too long. If this was like a 40-minute album, I can say, all right, whatever, at least it's short. But this being like almost 80 minutes, it's a torture to get through. I've only listened to this album once, and that's all I need to do. And especially, leaves a bad taste in your mouth, because what these guys were once capable of doing great things. And, the documentary coming out as well. It just, this whole era of Metallica it's a bad one, and probably the worst point if you were a longtime Metallica fan. I'm going to put this in the F tier. There's no songs here that I look back and I'm like, well, that's pretty decent. No, it's just not good. It's just not good to my ears. All my senses. Saint Anger just is not good, and there's not going to be any reappraisal of like, oh man, you guys were missing out on Saint Anger. It's actually a good album. You're never gonna read that. Death Magnetic, which came out 5 years later. And once again, everybody talks about the compression issues, and that's definitely a thing here. But I think Death Magnetic was Metallica trying to turn to the right point of their career. Definitely more of a traditional Metallica album. But once again, some of the songs here, they just go on for way too long. The Day That Never Comes is a good single, but I think just goes on for way too long. But at least we got guitar solos again. Them with their new bassist, Robert Trujillo. Once again, I mean, I think it's a decent Metallica album. At least it's not Saint Anger. I think it was basically... you've been eating crumbs for 3 years, and all of a sudden you get like a Dorito. It's like, oh my god, this is the best meal I've ever had. Even though when you look back, it's like, it was okay. It was an okay meal, but at the time, people were like, oh my god, Metallica's back. But this was only because Saint Anger, it just left such a bad taste in people's mouths. So Death Magnetic, I'm gonna put in the C tier. I don't go back to it often. And then their last album to date, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Actually, this is the true return to form for Metallica. Metallica, not only just going back to the basics, but just sounding very confident again. You can tell that they put a lot of work and effort into this album. The songs sound better here. Hetfield's voice really clear. The band just sounds like Metallica again. And they're never gonna be what they were in the 80s and 90s, but they can at least sound competent, and that's what they do in this album. A great return to form. Songs like Atlas Rise and Spit to the Bone, demonstrate why Metallica can still be great at 50 years old. It's a solid album. It's not going to be hailed as a masterpiece years from now, but I think once again, if this is the track that Metallica is on, maybe the next album could be that masterpiece, that next Master of Puppets, that next Black Album. So, great starting point with Hardwired. I'm going to put in the B tier. Very underrated Metallica album. So yeah, that is my tier list for Metallica. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. What is your favorite, least favorite songs and albums from Metallica? Love to know what you think. YouTube recommends these two reviews. Check out this one. Done plenty of tier lists in the past, so check out those in the playlist and the archives. Love you guys. Until next time, peace.